Joining us now right here is Mike McFaul, the former U.S. ambassador to Russia. And Chuck, maybe you want to ask Ambassador McFaul his immediate takeaway.
Well, yeah, you know, Mike, it was in many ways, and I heard what Ben said, and that's the thing. Everything Putin said, I feel like you told us in advance how this would go. So I guess, what would you be telling President Biden to do at his press conference? The balance to strike in both, on one hand, embracing the idea that Putin wants to have a constructive relationship on certain things, particularly treaties like START, but he's in full denial about his responsibility on so many other things, but particularly cyber. I mean, what public messaging, diplomatic messaging would you be advising the president to say in this moment as he prepares for his presser?
Well, two things, Chuck. One, he should affirm that they support the strategic stability talks. That's a good thing. And that they put a joint statement out is a positive step. But I think he has a lot of work to do in this press conference now. He's got to rebut a lot of whataboutism that we just heard from Vladimir Putin. He went on and on in this press conference. He was having a grand time. He asked everybody a question. And that means because he was doing all his familiar talking points. So I think that puts the burden now on President Biden to say that he disagrees with that whataboutism and that false equivalency.
And Mike McFaul, when you look at the lack of balance here, Vladimir Putin is coming out. He's reasonable. He's praising Joe Biden. And, you know, he's talking about a stable, predictable relationship, as you had warned earlier he might do. And now the President Biden risks looking like the bad guy if he says, well, wait a second. You know, he's denying cyber. He did all that. He's denying trying to assassinate Navalny and blaming Navalny for being evacuated to Germany when he was, you know, attempted to be killed by the Kremlin and medically evacuated. So all that long list, that puts President Biden in a very strange position unless it helps him to appear tough.
I agree. I think it's a fine line he has to walk because he wants to sound constructive, but not too constructive. And I think, you know, there's not a lot of tangible things here, right? We just read the statement. They agreed to begin talks about talks. They didn't actually launch strategic stability talks. And that means that when he gets into the press conference, he's got to be firm to say, I disagree with all those things that Vladimir Putin said. I hope he said that in the meeting, but he most certainly now has to say it to the world.
Casey Hunt.
Mr. Ambassador, if you're the president here and if you're continuing to advise him, what do you say about how he handles what happened on January 6th here, considering that Vladimir Putin, I mean, we've heard some similar comments, quite frankly, from a handful of House Republicans, as we heard from Vladimir Putin here about what happened on that day. Should the president address that in his news conference, or is it better that he not?
I think he should address it. I mean, for national security reasons, right? I'll leave the domestic politics to you all who are experts. But he made a false equivalency. He compared Alexei Navalny, who is fighting corruption peacefully and who was poisoned and near killed and then came back to his country and was arrested. He didn't commit any crimes. He compared Alexei Navalny to the insurrectionists, those that want to overthrow democracy. Alexei Navalny is fighting for democracy. Those that stormed the Capitol were against democracy. I think he needs to rebut that false equivalency.